or well, you'll probably be watching this in the evening. But I hope you guys are having a great week, and we are here on West Gulf on Sanibel, but we are towards the east side of West Gulf. And we came out this morning. Look at these shell piles, you guys, like shell pile galore. You can just sit here all day and dig through a ton of shells. We have a really awesome rack line here that we're going to be checking out. So we've got a big rack line here, and then we've got another kind of more fresh rack line over this way. So we're going to be checking out all of this amazing goodness and treasures. Look how fun. Now I want you guys to keep in mind, because I get asked so many times, you know, where's the best beach to go? What's the best beach to shell at? Listen, it all depends on the tides. It all depends on the winds. And honestly, last night we were here on the same beach, but we were down around the corner. So we went this way last night, and there wasn't a whole lot there. There were some shells, it was fine, but there wasn't this. Okay, and if you go the other way around that corner, you might not have anything. I don't know, I haven't been down there, but you might not have this type of beach wash up. So it's really important to understand that this could be gone tomorrow, you guys. All of this stuff could be gone tomorrow when the tide comes in and takes it out. So you want to make sure that, you know, you're exploring as much of the beaches as you can. Look at these beautiful whelks. So amazing. And you're gonna see a lot of sea urchins washed up, okay? So the thing with sea urchins is you wanna make sure if you take a sea urchin that it is not alive, okay? It's really important that you check and make sure it's not alive, because these little guys can live out of the water. So this is the little mouth right here. And you'll be able to know, because if you try to bend the spines, you can see these spines are bending very easily and they're breaking off. Can you guys see that? So this little guy is no longer alive. If I wasn't able to move his spines, or they weren't breaking off easily, or you saw them moving, or you saw his mouth moving, you know he's still alive and he's got a shot, so you gotta leave him be. But there's gonna be a lot of sea urchins, and I'll tell you, sea urchins are great, but they are very hard to clean. Everybody wants to know, like, when people sell sea urchins, why they're so expensive. You guys, it is such a pain to clean these things. You've got to let them dry out. Then you've got to get all the spines off, because they will fall off eventually. Unfortunately, I don't know if there's a way to preserve the spines without like gluing them all on. And then you have to get the animal and all the guts out inside. And it is really challenging. Oh, look at this pretty little buttercup right here. So we're gonna go and check out all of this amazing stuff. This is, you know, the break line is my favorite place to shell, but my favorite thing to do is to go through a bunch of beach trash. You guys know that when we have wash-ups like this of seaweed and sea stuff, this is where you find so many fun things. This giant heart cockle right here, okay, you'll see that it is no longer alive, but we've got a creature still in there decaying. So if you take that home, it is gonna stink to high heaven. So you're allowed to take it because it's no longer alive, but I don't recommend taking anything that is not empty, because it just becomes really hard to clean. So when you are exploring up here, just make sure, check and double check to make sure that nothing is deceased and is going to be really stinky for your shell bag. Alright, so we're going to go and kind of get down here and check everything out. This is another reason why it's a good idea to wear feet shoes. Number one, you don't want to step on a sea urchin. There's a little guy right there that would not be comfortable for your foot. But again, there's a lot of decaying matter up here, so you want to make sure that your feet are protected. And let's see what we can find. There's another sea urchin. And let's see, here's a little crab shell. Look how cute this little crab shell is. Okay, so this is a good example of a crab shell that still has the bottom carpus attached to it, but it's empty. There's nothing, let's see if I can show you guys, there's nothing in that shell. It's completely empty. So this is a good one to take if you want to take home a crab shell. I'm going to show you guys a trick to getting them home in your shell bag too in a second. Look at this paper bag, and it is perfect. Look how pretty. Okay, so if you have something fragile and you want to, oh, hold on a second. I'm getting distracted by all the little shells. Look at this beautiful lace murex. So pretty. What you can do, and I'm trying to find one that is empty, but I like to find a giant heart cockle like this. And then I try to find another one that's close to a match. These aren't a match because they're both the same size. But what you would do is you would take your delicate, whether it's a crab shell or a sand dollar, and you stick it inside like this, and then you put this in your shell bag and you stick it down in the corner of your bag so it kind of stays closed. Okay, it took me a minute to find a match, but this is what you're gonna do. Okay, you're gonna find 2 giant heart cockles that are similar in size. They don't have to be an exact match, obviously. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your delicate in there, and then you're just gonna sandwich it together like that. And then you're gonna take your shell bag. I'm gonna show you that corner right there. And I'm gonna stick him in the corner of my shell bag, down like that. And then it's gonna keep him safe. So that way, when I pile shells on top, I'm gonna actually put him in another cockle, but if I pile shells on top, he won't get crushed. So that's an easy way to kind of transport your delicate shells that you have, that you find. If you find something and you're like, oh my gosh, how the heck am I gonna get this home? Oh, look at this really pretty butterfly too. This one. So lots of color here. Always be looking for color. Always be looking for fun treasures other than just your typical shells, right? So you can be looking for operculums, you can be looking for driftwood, crab shells, mermaid purses. Obviously there's a lot of sea urchins. Here's a little whelk. Here, here's a tulip. Hiding. There is so much stuff here to look at. Here's a little paper fig. So cute. This little piece of driftwood right here. And anytime you find a bivalve that is intact, always make sure that you're checking it, because most of them have creatures in there and they're gonna be extremely stinky. And they're also very hard to clean too, because that animal sticks to the inside of the shell. So they're kind of really hard to clean out. So always make sure that you're checking before you leave. Like this one is intact, but there's nobody home. Nobody in there, so it's empty. So that's a good one to take. Look at all of this stuff, you guys. It is so crazy. And you have to remember, like, this does not happen often. This is not, you know, Sanibel is a place that always has shells, but we don't always have an accumulation of stuff like this on the beach. It takes crazy waves or a crazy storm or really strong tides to come in and bring all of this up onto the beach. Here's a piece of a true tulip. That would have been pretty. And then here it looks like a flame box crab. This looks like a blue crab claw, but this one's pretty cool, and it is empty. You can see in here there's nothing in there but some sand. So that's a good one to take home too and stick in a bowl, a shell bowl display. Always really pretty scallops. I love the scallops. I always love these too. These Venus clams. They're really cool, especially to decorate or use as crafts. You don't find them intact a lot of the time, so that's kind of fun. There's so many shells. If you love to paint shells, this is going to be like heaven for you to find these big quahogs and dystocias and all of the nice big flat shells that are fun to paint on. So many sea urchins. If you're wanting sea urchins, this is the day to come collect them. You can see some of them are starting to lose their spines as they dry out. And then eventually when they dry out, the animal inside will just shake out. But it takes quite a while for them to get completely dried out. Another one. Look at this cool crab shell. So I do love to collect crab shells. I do love to display them in a bowl, but they are so incredibly fragile that it's not often we find them whole. So again, you have to find something that is large enough, a giant heart cockle. If you have a quahog that you can find, that this is not big enough. But right here happens to be a pen shell. It happens to be intact, and it happens to be completely empty and clean. So what you can do is open that up, stick in your crab shell. You have to be a little creative. Actually, I'm gonna put them the other way. And then that way you've got a little case. Okay, so you've got a little case for your crab shell. And as you put this in your shell bag and squeezing it closed, and it's fine in there, you see? So I'm gonna stick that down into the corner of my shell bag as well. So that way, here I'll show you guys where I'm putting it, just in the corner right there. So that way that little crab shell will be safe, and hopefully with some luck I can get him home in one piece. And over here we've got a little tulip. Look how cute the little tulip is, little banded tulip. And up here we've got a really pretty apple murex. So really important when you've got a lot of decaying matter washed up like this, make sure that you are doing a good job in checking your shells to make sure that there's nothing deceased inside, because a lot of times people will, all of a sudden their shell bag's like really stinky, and it turns out that they had a little dead critter in there. So here's a really pretty whelk, a whelk in there. And it's hard because you want to kind of walk fast to get to the next spot, but at the same time, if you don't slow down and kind of look, you're going to miss things, because there's so much in here to see. There's shells that are hiding. Sometimes it's good to like dig around a little bit. If you have like a little shovel or a little rake or a little digger, here's a little piece of driftwood. This is really fun. Love driftwood. Here's another piece here. Driftwood. So many sea urchins, oh my goodness. There's one of those little sea trees hooked on an arc. I just love those. I think they're so fun. That one in there. Oh, looky, is it whole? I think it's broken, but here's an angel wing. Okay, so it's broken, but they're here, okay? It's got like a little, this is usually where they're broken to. If it's pretty much whole, they're usually broken right there, unfortunately. They're so hard to find whole, you guys. So hard, but they are here, which is good. Here's a beautiful calico clam. Let's see if we can go on the hunt for a whole angel wing. And this is just this rack line. Like, look at all the places. So you've got a rack line here. You've got shell piles up here. Then you've got a rack line here, a rack line here, and a rack line here. And there's just so much to look at. And so you could shell all day, literally all day. Here's a little sea tree. I love those. Some people call them sea whips. I think the sea whips are more of like the purple, which I'm hoping to find some of those too, because I love those. Oh, and this is gonna go through somebody's foot. You guys see the spikes? This is another reason why it's really important to wear shoes. So, try to see if I can stick this in the side of my bag to throw it in the garbage later. So you don't want anybody to step on that. Here's another pretty buttercup. Love those. There's a big core of a horse conch right there. Lots of driftwood. I love the driftwood. We don't find a lot of driftwood on Sanibel, so it's certainly pretty cool. Look at that giant heart cockle. It's beautiful. Here's another little sea tree. Look how cute. I love these. We don't find these often, so when I find them, I get so excited. Hopefully it's not too windy for you guys, because it is breezy here today, a little on the chilly side. Lots of conchs. And you'll notice too, when we have like a storm come through, there's certain shells that get washed up, right? So sometimes we'll have conchs, right? Like there'll be just a ton of fighting conchs all over the place. Sometimes there'll be starfish, sometimes there'll be sand dollars. Today we've got a ton of urchins, right? It's a whole ton of urchins. We've got a lot of the duck clams or elephant ears right here. Quahog galore. And we've got a lot of pen shells as well. And cockles. So you'll see different types of shells, and sea life will wash up at different times. And this is a time when you will find a variety of those specific types of shells. Here's a little sponge. So sponges are the same way. It's attached to a little shell there. They're really fun on the beach, but to get them home and dry them out, they're extremely, extremely stinky. So you've got to let them completely air dry out. And be careful. I know a lot of people will want to bleach sponges, but the bleach will disintegrate the sponge. So you want to rinse them in fresh water and then let them completely dry out. Look at this really pretty yellow cockle here. I love these. So pretty. Oh, and here is an operculum. I love collecting operculums, probably from a big trapdoor from a big whelk or horse conch. Piece of a palm tree there where the coconuts grow. There's another piece of driftwood. Here's a sea urchin that's losing its spine, so you'll be able to see when they start to lose their spines and the animal inside starts to detach. That's what it'll look like. Oh my gosh, there's so much to look at. Look at that pretty orange scallop right here. It's pretty rough scallop. I want to find a lion's paw. That's still on my bucket list, is finding a lion's paw. Oh, here's a sea whip. So this is, I love sea whips. So this is attached to an arc shell with a little oyster, spiny oyster right there on the side. And then you can kind of see how it's purple in color. So these are really cool. I love these. We'll take this one with us. Send you guys some fun treasures in your boxes. Everybody loves beach treasures, and I love orange scallops. Look how pretty this one is. It's another rough scallop. We don't find a whole lot of rough scallops, and a lot of times they are broken, but that's a beautiful orange scallop. Gorgeous. There's a big piece of a whelk here. So the big shells are here. Oh my gosh, you guys, look. So crazy. Look at that big piece of driftwood. That's awesome. It's a little bit big for me to haul back, but really fun. Oh, it's stuck in there too. That's not coming out. I love these orange scallops. Look how pretty. It's funny how sometimes your eye goes to certain shells, you know? Like I'll walk right over a shell just because I saw another one. Like I saw something orange, so maybe I walked over a really pretty scallop or a whelk because I was zeroed in on that orange scallop or orange horse conch. There's something about orange shells, they love them. Up here is another angel wing, but it's broken. We're getting closer though. We'll find one. And here's a starfish. Oh, poor starfish. So he's really dark in color and you can see he's completely dried out. And if they're completely dried out, obviously they're no longer alive, but that's going to be a really nice sea treasure. So keep in mind too, guys, you always just want to make extra sure that they're no longer alive because they can live for a while out of the water, and you just want to make sure that you're giving them a chance to survive if they are still alive. Here's another operculum right here. And more than likely, all of this stuff on the beach right here is going to be deceased just because it's been so cold and windy and they all dried out so very fast. Usually they can stay alive. I mean, that's why, you know, that's how sea creatures are made. They're made to stay alive, you know, through tides. But when it's very, very cold and very windy like it's been, they just get dried out too quickly, unfortunately. There's another one of those Venus clams intact. It's really fun. But I always like to just double and triple check because if a little guy's alive and he's moving, I'm gonna put him back in the water and hope that maybe he can live another day. Ooh, look at that piece of driftwood. That's really pretty. This big piece right here. It's so fun. I might pick that up on the way back if it's still here. Shell bag's getting a little heavy today all of a sudden. Heavier than normal with all of these fun shells and treasures. A whelk there. Here's a piece of I don't know if that's a piece of a windshield or what that is. It's plastic, but we're gonna take that with us because that is beach trash. That is called garbage. And anytime you are shelling, you can either bring a separate bag with you or you can throw it in your shell bag. But if you do see beach trash and you're able to pick it up, please do. We want to try to keep our sea life safe and our shorebirds safe. Here's another little sea whip on a little shell, little piece of a shell, little piece of an arc. How cute. And we also want to keep fellow shellers safe too. So if you see something that could be potentially harmful, you know, broken glass or metal or something that somebody could step on, we always try to pick that up too. We don't want fellow shellers getting a piece of a fish hook or anything in their foot that we could prevent. So always do your duty as a good sheller and a beach lover to pick up whatever trash you see that you can pick up. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is just so fun. Oh, here's a bone. Okay, so some of you who have dogs will recognize this as a marrow bone. Okay, this is usually like a femur bone, and that's where the bone marrow would be. But this isn't, well, this actually could maybe be a dog toy now that I look at it. But we do often find, because it is cut like perfect, but a lot of times we do find chunks of bone out here that are left in crab traps. So they use, you know, different type of livestock, and they throw the meat into the crab traps to bait the crabs, and then the bones fall out of the crab trap and get washed up. So sometimes you'll find a bone, and it's not a fossil, it's just a piece of remnant from bait from a crab trap. Look how pretty this little scallop is right here. This little baby rough scallop. So this is a absolutely ginormous shell pile. Look at this. It is so big. And this is a great place to just sit here and dig if you have the time. Sit down, relax, and start digging. This is what your sea urchin is going to look like. We're kind of going through the stages where they have all the spines and then they're losing the spines. This one is completely lost all the spines, which is what it's going to look like when it's clean, but you'll see it still has the creature inside here. So once that completely dries out, and like I said, it does take a while for it to completely dry out, and then you can get that creature out of there, and then it'll be ready for your crafting or display or whatnot. But that creature has to come out, or else it's gonna be stinky. So that just gives you guys an idea of the different stages of sea urchin cleaning. And of course, if you clean them out yourself, you're gonna speed up that process a little bit. But if you're looking for them on the beach to take home, oh, and look at this, this is fun. Here's an egg casing. Look how fun this is. It looks like a tulip. Is this a true tulip egg casing? I think it is. Tulip egg casing. Super fun. And I'm trying to see if they've hatched. I don't see anything in there. But I don't see any holes. So this one might just not have gotten a chance to develop past the stages of the shells being little shells. But that's a really cool treasure to put in your shell bowl, little egg casing. Love finding egg casings. They're so fun. How little baby shells are born. Oh, it's broken. Would have been a really pretty big shark eye. I know there's so many awesome things underneath all these shells that I'm walking on. Here's a big piece of a whelk right here. The big chunks are out here. That means that you can find whole ones. You just gotta look. Here's a little tulip just sitting there waiting to be picked up. And here's a really cool piece of a core. So you can see the inside spiral of the nice big sized tulip too. That's pretty scallop. Gorgeous. Gorgeous scallop. Woo, it's getting a little windy out here. Wind is good. Wind means shells. You get wind, you get waves, and then they bring the shells in. So wind is never a bad thing when you're a sheller. This little sea whip here. So cute. I love how they always like attach themselves to a little shell. That's so cute. Just to give you guys a view of this shell pile. So down here is where we walked from, so you can see the rack lines and then that other shell pile up here. And then all of a sudden you've got this huge pile of shells. It's pretty deep. And then it only lasts till about here. And then you're back to your regular rack line. And like I said, as you walk further down, I don't know if that rack line is gonna disappear or not. So I always tell people, like, you have to just walk. You have to get out there and walk and shell. And if you're not finding what you want, you've got to go to another beach. You've either got to walk to another beach, drive and park and walk. A lot of the time, you've got to seek out where the shell spots are. They're not always going to be, you know, right in front of your condo. Sometimes they will, though. Sometimes the storm will come in and drop off a big pile of shells right in front of your condo, but not always. Sometimes we have to go and walk and hike and seek and look. Barry and I did that in Maryland. We would go to the river and we would river walk all the way down for miles looking for a good spot for glass. So you just have to be patient and go seek out your treasure hole. There's just so many shells. I can't even believe it. That really pretty. Look at the tip on that. That is gorgeous. And a little tulip right here. Look at this pretty. Oh, this one's still got a creature in there. And you guys have heard me say, like, when you have a whole scallop, you know, typically one side will be like white, like this, and this is kind of green, but it would be white when it's cleaned, and then the other side is really colorful. But this is an example of one that's colorful on both sides, so you guys can see that. Another sea whip. We like never find them. I'm so excited. I love them so much. They're so fun to have as a display. Look at that, really pretty. It's got a little deformity there. That's a really cool looking conch. Oh, and here's a big stone crab. So if you're a stone crab fan, this is the type of claw that you would want. This would be the type of claw that would be taken off. So for those of you who don't know or don't eat crabs or seafood, the one thing my husband does like about stone crabs is you're not killing the crab to eat it. So you take a claw off. So they catch the crabs and then they take off a claw and toss them back. So yeah, they only have one claw, but at least they're still alive. But look at the size of that big claw on that crab. So I know a lot of people would say, oh, he's deceased, you know, I want to take him home, but you have to clean out the crab. You either have to clean him out or you've got to send him to a taxidermist, because you've got to get all of the meat out of the claws and out of the body. Otherwise it's just going to decay, because it's a dead animal. And you guys, if you've ever smelled a dead animal, like, it's gross. So you have to make sure that you're cleaning them out, and it's quite a task to do. And it's very difficult to do too without cracking and breaking, you know, the shell into a million pieces, which is defeats the whole purpose of wanting to, you know, clean them out for display. Here looks like a big, really big. Look how pretty. Oh my gosh, look how pretty. That's gorgeous. Nice big whelp there. Here we've got a little leopard crab shell, and I love these. They are so incredibly fragile. So, see how it just blew off my hand? They're so lightweight and so fragile. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look around for either the same type of cockle or something that I can stick him in. So this is one of those clams that I can close. Okay, so I'm gonna stick him in here. I'm gonna just make sure he fits in there. I want him to fit in there nicely, okay? And then I'm just gonna close this. So he's in there and he's safe. And then I'm gonna stick him in the corner of my shell bag. And so the big thing is you have to remember though, when you get home, you can't just dump out your shell bag, right? Because you've got some fragiles in there. So you wanna make sure you individually take everything out of your bag and be mindful of those bivalves that you have that are together. Just remember that you have something special in there, and just don't dump out your shells, because I've done that before when, look how pretty this little coquina is. I've done that before when I dump my shells out when I get home and I forgot that I had some fragiles in there. So always make sure that you are checking and looking. Here's another stone crab claw. So this one is empty. You can see in there and you can feel there's nothing left in that claw. It's completely hollow. So we're gonna take him home. I could pick up these giant heart cockles all day. I love them. I just absolutely love them. I can't believe all of the sea urchins. How many washed up. I don't know why that happens. I don't know, why. Sometimes, like, all of a sudden you'll have a ton of shells or a ton of one type of sea creature washed up all at the same time. I don't know. It's kind of a phenomenon, I guess. Crazy. I'm surprised so many of these paper figs are making it to shore in one piece. That's awesome. It's another reason you don't want to just dump your shell bag out though, because you don't want to have the larger shells crush the smaller ones. There's a lot of mussels too, so if you're a seafood eater, you probably have had mussels before. The fun thing about mussels is they're not much to look at on one side, but when you flip them over, they've got this beautiful, like, iridescent color. So they make really fun shells to make shell flowers out of. They're just really super pretty. So there's quite a few of those washed up as well. You just have to make sure that they are empty. Baby sea whip here. The purple always catches my eye. That's up there. There we go. A little piece of seaweed off there. How cute. So cute. Alright guys, I set my shell bag down for a minute. You can see it's getting pretty full. I took that wood piece out to make room for more treasures. And then I'm going to use this plastic piece that we picked up for trash and use it as a digger. So I'm just going to go through this little shell pile right here because I kind of am interested to see what might be in here. Let's see, we've got a pretty scallop right here. Looks like we've got a really pretty whelk. That whelk's going to clean up and look really nice when it's all oiled. Let's stick that in our bag. And I wanted to kind of dig through and see if we find anything fun in this pile. And it's always nice to have something to dig with. If you don't bring a tool, find one. I mean, whether it's a piece of trash or a piece of driftwood, or you can use a pen shell. Pen shells are, they make a really good they're flat, so they make a good little scooper digger. But I just want to kind of go through and see if we find anything fun underneath all this stuff. I am curious. See if there's anything in here. There's a little leopard crab right here. So his shell will get nice and bright once he dries out, but it's the whole crab. So again, if you're going to be taking a crab, make sure that it's empty. Oh, here's a really pretty buttercup. Oh, here's another one. Grab these scallops. Love these scallops, they're so pretty. You never know what's underneath all of this stuff. There could be a big Junonia under here. We gotta check it out, right? There's a nice big jewelry box. I love the pink tip right here on it. So pretty. Nice little calico clam. There's a little conch. There's so many shells in here. I mean, I could just be here all day in the shell pile. Another little conch right here. It just depends on what you're looking for. Like, I'm finding a lot of shells that I'm not picking up, but other people might pick them up. Here's a little shark eye. Look how cute. A little shark eye right here, and then a really pretty scallop up here. So it just kind of depends on what you're looking for, what kind of shells you're seeking. Oh, here's another sea whip. This is like Sea Whip City today. Look how fun. You guys, look at this ginormous mussel. I think this is the biggest one I've ever seen. Look how ginormous that is. That'll make a really pretty display for like minis and tinies. But that thing is monstrous. Holy moly. There's a little piece of a king crown right here. Tree. Oh, a cute one. Another heart cockle that's intact. We'll keep that one in case we find any more little fragile crab shells that we need to get home safely. I'm loving the buttercups too. How pretty. There's a big piece of a true tulip right there. Oh, I would love to find a big true tulip. Here's a really pretty buttercup that's intact. I notice very often. Oh, it's a little broken, but that's okay. Oh, and look at this rough scallop. Look how pretty, the pretty pattern on that. Whoa, that's gorgeous. Tulip. Love these cockles that are so bright and pretty. Piece of an angel wing here. This pretty scallop with the barnacles on it. Here's another stone crab claw that is empty. Fun. so hard not to pick up everything. You know, like, I know a lot of people say, oh my gosh, you missed this and you missed that and you didn't pick up that, but you guys, like, I mean, I'd have to have a truck with me to be able to take home every single shell that I find, you know, because there's so many. And that's why I tell people, like, listen, don't worry. Like, if you think, oh my gosh, look at this piece of this true. People are like, oh, there's people shelling, they're gonna take all the shells. You guys, like, there's no way you can take all these shells. So don't ever worry about if there's gonna be shells left for you. Like, I promise there will be. There will always be shells left for you to find and collect. You guys, like, I can't even believe how amazing this shelling is. It's like the further I walk, the more amazing it gets, which is usually the case when you're shelling. Sometimes you have to just take a little walk and see where it takes you. I mean, the shells are just absolutely incredible. Yeah, piece of driftwood right there. It's beautiful. I'm totally running out of room in my shell bag. I should have brought another one. I think my husband is somewhere down there and has my other bag, but I mean, the shelling is just amazing. Look at this really pretty scallop right here, and then there's a big tulip. Big tulip. Oh my god, I'm so out of room in my shell bag. It's a problem. It's a good problem. That means you guys are going to be getting some amazing treasures in your shell boxes. So if you're not a subscriber, you might want to become one before the 15th of the month. Look how pretty. So awesome. I mean, just amazing, amazing shells. And these paper figs, I can't believe that they're like perfect. I don't think I've ever found so many perfect paper figs in my life. There's another little sea tree. I love these so much. Cute. There's a little turkey wing right here. There are just so many amazing shells to be found. Holy cow. And you don't even know where to look. You know, you're in one place, but you're like, what if I'm passing up some amazing shells? Oh, here's a little worm rock. These worm rocks are fun. How cute. They're bright orange. They've got all the little wormholes in them. That's really fun. Love these yellow cockles. They're just so gorgeous. This is where you want to dig. This is where you want to find something and start digging, because I know that there's some amazing stuff under here. Oh my gosh, nice concrete here. There's another one. I love conchs. I know they're really common shells, but I love them anyway. They're all so unique and different colors. Some have patterns. Oh, here's a long spined sea urchin. So let me grab a regular one. So this is a regular sea urchin, or, you know, as we call them, with the short spines. And then this is one that had the long spines. See that? Put them side by side so you guys can get a better look at that. Isn't that so cool? No longer alive, sadly. And they do give you kind of a different color or pattern too, to the type of sea urchin that it is, which is interesting. I dropped my coconut. I found a coconut with a hole in it. I thought it would be a fun little like thing to hang somewhere. Have fun. My hollow coconut. I dropped my coconut. I mean, there's so much driftwood and little sea trees and sea whips. I just love them. Here's another paper fig. Look at this, you guys. I can't even believe it. That is so amazing. And here's a piece of looks like a piece of a shark eye. There's a little olive right here. Looks like there might be a whelk hiding right here. Absolutely amazing. Look at all the shells. Alright guys, my shell bag is full and I am headed back. I could stay here all day collecting all of these treasures. I hope that you had so much fun virtual shelling with me on this epic shelling day. Oh my gosh, there's one more buttercup and it's beautiful and I want to get it. I can't even believe how amazing these shells have been today. So these treasures are going to be shipped out in the beach treasure boxes this month. So if you are not a beach treasure box subscriber, you might want to become one. Send me a message or an email, virtualshelling@gmail.com, if you have any questions. Thank you so much for your support, for being members of the Virtual Shelling Network, and I will see you guys again next time. Bye!